Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be speaking with you all again. Over the last 6 weeks, we have discussed many interesting topics, and this week, I would like to discuss with you the true crime case of the West Memphis Three. True crime cases have always been a great interest in mine. I love researching them, and I love investigating them. The case I would like to discuss with you today is the case of the West Memphis Three. This case involves three 8-year-old boys who were brutally murdered in West Memphis, Arkansas, and there were three teenagers who were charged and convicted. These three teenagers became known as the West Memphis Three. Now, after they were found guilty, many documentaries and books were written about them, supporting their alleged innocence. But unfortunately, many of these documentaries and books, such as Paradise Lost and Devil's Knot, were very biased, and they didn't tell you all the facts. Once you start doing your own personal research, which I've done extensively about the case, I believe any reasonable person will conclude that the West Memphis Three are rightfully guilty. I believe they're guilty due to three main reasons: the multiple confessions, the physical evidence against them, and the lack of alibis. First of all, there were multiple confessions from all three suspects, especially Jesse Misskelley. Jesse Misskelley's confessions were the strongest. He confessed on 6 different occasions. On some of those occasions, he confessed to his own defense attorney. People who support their innocence claim the confessions were false and coerced. But you can read these confessions online from start to finish. The confessions are very detailed. He gives a step-by-step account of how the murders went down. And you can see for yourself that there's really no coercion whatsoever. He does everything on his own will, and he knew details that weren't public knowledge. So in my book, when someone admits his guilt, he gives a detailed account of how the murder went down, and he knows facts that only someone there at the crime would know. That's very powerful evidence. The other convincing factor for me is the physical evidence against the West Memphis Three. It's true that they didn't have any concrete DNA evidence against them, but there was still significant physical evidence against them, such as the clothing fibers that they found at the crime scene, which matched clothing fibers that the suspects had. The clothes they found in their rooms. There's also candle wax found at the crime scene, which was consistent with candle wax found in the rooms of one of the suspects. There was also a luminol testing that was done at the crime scene, which shows blood at the crime scene. And one of the suspects had a necklace that had 2 types of blood on it. One type of blood was consistent with one of the victims, and one type of blood was consistent with one of the suspects. The third point is the lack of a credible alibi. The West Memphis Three have never been able to prove where they were at the time of the murders. Now, by itself, that might not seem like much, but once you combine it with everything else, multiple confessions, physical evidence, the fact that the West Memphis Three can't prove where they are at the time of the murders is very damning evidence. What's even more damning is the fact that the West Memphis Three have tried to present alibis, but those alibis fall apart under scrutiny. They presented witnesses who tried to help them during the trial, but they contradicted each other, and some of them were caught straight up lying. In conclusion, I'm a strong believer in the guilt of the West Memphis Three, and I hope I've briefly explained to you and informed you why I believe that. I believe any reasonable, objective person who objectively researches the case like I have will reasonably conclude that they are guilty. All the facts that I've mentioned here can be affirmed on websites such as WM3truth.com, WestMemphis3facts.com, Callahan.8k.com, and unredacted.com. Thank you for listening, and I hope you've learned something new today. Take care.